which I guess is interesting because it shows you right away that to me there's a split. Like there's my B-girl name and my B-girl life, and then there's kind of like the rest of my life and like all of the, you know, activities that might encompass, which may not particularly be part of my B-girl life. So there's kind of like maybe in my mind a separation between those things, or in my life there may also be separation.
Another thing that I pulled from your story that you just gave us is that you said that your father was in teaching, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And now you kind of carry on that legacy as also a teacher, right?
Uh-huh.
So break that down to us. What is it exactly? What is your involvement with the youth, and what are you teaching?
Well, I'm actually a third generation of teachers. My grandmother, Catherine, who was from the United States, actually, she was a teacher, and my dad was a teacher. My mom was also a teacher. So I'm kind of like a third generation teacher. I feel like it's a gift that I've been passed on, because when I go to teach, I never feel like teaching is a job. It doesn't feel like work, you know, like when I go and I teach, the time just like passes so quickly, and I'm like, wow, it's rare that I find myself counting the time when I'm teaching. It's one of those things that I do in my life that I feel when I'm there 100%, and I usually bring the best of me to that role. That's kind of the role in my life where I feel like I show up the best, and where I can bring out a lot of my character, like my qualities. And I've also been a student a lot in my life. I've studied a lot of different things. Like I studied contemporary dance. I have 2 university degrees. I've studied yoga. You know, I'm able to, I studied Swedish massage. It's one of my jobs. I have a lot of different certifications and, you know, things that I've studied. And I've also studied breaking a lot. Like over the last 24 years that I've been breaking, I've taken workshops with like hundreds and hundreds of workshops, not to mention the classes and workshops I took before I became a B-girl. So I feel like I love being a student. I love studying. I love learning new things. And so I think that's a really good attribute for someone who wants to teach, you know, because you could be great at what you do. I've met a lot of like really talented B-boys and B-girls, but not all of them are really gifted teachers, you know? So that's kind of one of the things that I know, is that I really love teaching. And I know that my students and my young students' parents, they feel that, because I know that I get a lot of like feedback from them over the years of like, well, you know, Lynx, they really appreciate my work. And so I've been teaching. I started teaching in 2003, which was really kind of like, if you think that I started breaking in 98, it's kind of early on. I started teaching quite early on. And I started teaching not because I thought I was really great at breaking. I actually started teaching because I wanted people to have people who were coming to me and asking me, or who approached me, to have access. Like I actually became a teacher because somebody saw me at a workshop. They're like, hey, you were really great. Like, can you come to my neighborhood and teach at the community center? I'll get you a job. And so I was like, okay, you want to give me, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And yeah. And also, like, I had such a hard time, and my first crew, which was also B-Girl crew, Elemental 5, we all had a difficult time finding people to teach us. Back in the day when we started, there were no, like, it was really hard to find schools and people who would teach you. There was a real, like, kind of protectiveness around information and knowledge. And if you weren't in the know or with the right people, you couldn't have access. So it was difficult as a person starting out to get knowledge and to get access to learning.
Was it more of a situation like, I don't mean to cut you off, but was it more of a situation like was it more of a situation like, well, if you're in my crew, I will teach you, but if you're not in my crew, then hey man, you're gonna have to get it on your own.
Yeah, and also, oh, you're threatening to my crew. We don't want to help you.
Oh wow.
We don't want to help you. You suck. You like getting jobs, and you just started out and you're taking our work. We're not going to help you. Oh, you're hanging out with those other crew that we don't like. We're not going to help you.
Wow. Dang,
I mean,
okay.
It's okay. Like, it's an era, you know, late 90s. You have to think, like, it was very different back then, you know? So one of the reasons why I started teaching was because I wanted to give access, especially to young people, to knowledge. And whatever knowledge I had, I felt like, well, I don't know everything. I'm just still kind of like learning, but I'm gonna try and help people that are like me, that want more information. So whatever knowledge I have, I'm gonna give to them. And yeah, it was really, and it also helped, like, you know, being a person who speaks English in an all French speaking city. In the beginning, when I lived here, I had trouble finding work. So finding work as a teacher where I could speak English in the beginning really helped me to have like a source of income. For a long time, I was a student, but I was kind of like ending my student life close to when I started Bgirl Lynx. So yeah, so teaching has been, I feel like, the greatest part of my like a gift in a way. And I feel that one of the reasons why I've been breaking so long is because I've been able to have this like constant source of inspiration from my students. My students, it's like this cycle that kind of, they say each one teach one, right? So your students kind of like give you the desire to keep training. Like I train because I want to keep being able to teach my students, and they train and get better, and that inspires me. And then it's like the cycle. Like I'm working right now with I've been teaching privately with a Bgirl named Bgirl Ace. And she's 12, and she just actually went to the CDS qualifiers in Canada here in August, and she was in the top 4. So at 12, but she can't qualify because she's not 16 yet. So, you know, this is what I'm working on. Like over the years, I've taught, since I started teaching in 2003, I've taught thousands of students here in Montreal and in Canada, and workshops that I've taught. And yeah, I really hope that, like, I mean, that's one of the cool things about all the different opportunities that are coming up now, is that there's going to be opportunities for these kids to be able to push and even go further and have local ways that they can, you know, when we wanted to, you know, do things, we had to travel. Like I had to travel to Toronto, or travel to New York, or travel to the States to battle, or if you want to go and try to win a big battle, you got to go somewhere. You can't, it's like I've won so many battles here in my own city, but like I had to go to other cities to win battles before people at home would actually respect me.
Wow. So, the nomad life of a breaker, right?
Yeah, you know, so, but it's the one thing about that is that if you don't have money, if you can't afford, like a lot of the times, like one of the main reasons I never went to Europe and did battles is like, man, I couldn't afford that.
Wow.
I couldn't afford to travel, you know? So it's like, if you don't have access to the money to be able to travel, you may not ever be able to meet other people or be exposed in that way to blow up or to get big in the scene, you know? So I think that's one of the good things, is that there's going to be more local opportunities and more ways for the younger generation of B-boys and B-girls. Like I have a lot of B-boys and B-girls aged like 6, 7, all the way up to like 13, who are really like, I work with a special group of kids in this one community center where I've been working for almost 15 years. And I've been able to have a specialized group where, you know, because that's the problem as a teacher, is that every year, if you're working for a school or a community center, wherever you're working, is that every session, there's new beginners that come in, and then they're in the same class as your kids who have experience. And so if you can't neglect the beginners, you have to help them and like help them learn. But then sometimes the ones who have experience are the ones that kind of get left in the fray, or you don't get to kind of serve them the knowledge that they would like to keep advancing. So having an advanced group or a special crew or a special group can be the solution for being able to build those kids and allow them to stay, you know, because otherwise they get bored and they leave. They go do some other activity. They're kids. They have 100 different activities that they want to do. But if you have like a more elite group, or a group that they could join that could keep motivating and pushing them together and then that group, I've taken many of the kids from the next level kids, that's my group, to battles, local battles, community battles. With the permission of their parents, we go to the battle, and then they enter the battle, and they could just see other kids and other people from this local scene. And I think that that's one of the main ways to keep kids in breaking, is to have these kind of like motivating things for them to be able to do, like any other. I mean, to me, it's always going to be a dance and an art form, but in other sports, that's what happens, is they have tournaments and they go and they compete, and then you have like, you know, that, and that's what keeps the kids motivated to do those activities. So
no doubt.
Yeah, teaching. I teach adults too. I've taught kids with disabilities, youth at risk in northern communities and the Arctic. I've taught students that were in their 80s, if you believe it. I've had a student that was like in his 80s. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love teaching.
Man, shout out to him.
Actually, D-Man, he's from Vermont. He used to come up here to Montreal and like take classes and get down with us at our practices.
Wow, that is awesome. So now, Miss Lynx, we get to our traditional intro question. How did you get into hip hop and breaking?
I was just like a kid in the candy store. I would just like go around the whole city. And I met a guy who's actually from Alberta, but we started in the summer. I would go back home to Alberta, and I met this guy who was really into graffiti and hip hop. And so he kind of put me on to listening to hip hop and skateboarding and graffiti. And so those were kind of, I was like, oh, wow.
For more quality content from Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz, don't forget to press the like and subscribe buttons. Also, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond the Cypher. Let us know how we're doing down in the comment section. And to make sure you don't miss anything from the channel, smash that notification bell. We appreciate the love and support. Peace. Until the next episode.